Hello and welcome to this Align with Abundance program. So pleased that you're here to share this training with me. The sun is shining here in the UK, so it feels like the perfect day to talk about abundance, how to open up and start receiving more of this beautiful energy in our lives. And we're particularly talking around financial side of abundance, opening up to receiving more money, but really abundance comes in infinite amount of forms, whether that's fulfillment for our work, our relationships, and probably most importantly, our connection to source. And that's going to be the key that I'm going to talk about in these trainings that will hopefully last you over the next few weeks to a month or so. But take your time as you go through these trainings. This particular first training is more of an introduction. I'm going to be talking around my story, why you should listen to me when it comes to abundance. I always say I'm not a millionaire, but I have worked a lot on this process in receiving when it comes to abundance of money over the last 10 years. And I've created a beautiful overflow in my own life, which I'll go more into when I talk about my story. And also the energy of abundance, which is so, so important. Aligning ourselves internally with that energy of abundance so we see it reflected in our external world to create a beautiful and fulfilling life for ourselves that we all deserve. But do set yourself somewhere comfortable. Take your time when you go through these trainings. I'll be bringing up a few slides as I go in the next 4 trainings that you'll see. But it's just give me a few pointers so I don't miss anything along the way. But I'll also be talking freely as well in the moment. And so without further ado, let's begin. Let's start with our first training today, the energy of abundance. But first of all, I'll share a little bit more about my story in particular. So I'll just share what I've got for today. So yes, Aligning with Abundance. Welcome. So pleased to have you here on this program. My own journey with abundance has taken place over the last 10 years, and it's been an amazing journey with challenges along the way, learned from many different coaches and healers and guides. And I've really wanted to encompass everything I've learned over the last 10 years, everything that's worked for me into one program so that it can help you as well in your own journey to create a beautiful life for yourself. But let's start with my own story. You may know a little bit about my story so far, particularly if you're a member of my Facebook group. You've perhaps seen some of my advertising out there on Facebook. But it's been a powerful journey. I'm sure you're on this awakening journey as well as we all are. But my own conscious awakening started back in 2012, started by a severe trauma, as happens for so many of us on this awakening journey. It often takes something pretty dark, profound, challenging to shift us from a particular mode of living, a particular way of being, and beginning that inner journey, starting on that journey of self-realization, finding out who we really are beyond the mind, beyond the ego. My journey started, as I said, back in 2012. A particular trauma that really shattered who I thought I was, my own personality. It was more of I would say, psychological trauma when I came back from Peru, and just realized that the life I'd created and life that I was living was completely disconnected from my true self. And yes, as I say, it was more of a mental or psychological trauma. Many years of depression for no apparent reason then led me on to healing myself. First of all, the Western routes, which I found particularly limited in terms of medication, psychotherapy, etc., leading me on to the Eastern routes, Buddhism, which I did find very helpful in terms of learning who I was beyond the mind. And but it was, I felt, restricted in terms of healing. I didn't find my healing was particularly improving, but my awareness of who I was improving. Then on to shamanism and plant medicine. That is where I did find I was able to start incorporating my parts that had shattered along the way, bringing them back into the whole. But then, on to eventually the energy healing work that really did make a difference in my life, that I help people with today, combining the awareness practices with healing. The only thing I found with shamanism and plant medicine is not for everybody. Incredibly, incredibly challenging and powerful work. and not something that we can do on a daily basis, which I think is so important. Having the ability to connect and heal ourselves on a daily basis is what makes the big difference. And this is, I'll talk more about the healing work that I practice today, but this is what has made a huge difference in my own life, my own healing, and then opening up and creating a beautifully abundant and fulfilling life compared to where I was, especially 10 years ago. But as I said, it was when I found this energy healing work that I practice today, that's what really inspired me then to want to help others. And this is where so many of us get to, I think, on this path of awakening. Our own journey becomes a way of helping and supporting others on the path as well. And that then becomes a beautiful way that we can uncover what I call our soul mission, or our higher purpose, you could say, our unique way of serving others in this lifetime. Now, not only does that create true fulfillment in our work, which I'll talk about in the second part of the training, it also enables us to open up and receive a beautiful increased level of abundance ourselves by adding value to the world. But that was very much my journey. 2019, I felt the urge, because I'd started to heal myself, raise my own vibration. I found I was clearing the depression that had hampered me for many years, the very dark inner world that I was experiencing. And I felt like I was in a place where I could now start to serve and help others in their own path of awakening and the challenges that they were going through. But when it comes to abundance, particularly financial abundance, I wouldn't say I was in a place where I'd struggled financially, but I certainly had many blocks and traumas around money, particularly from, I would say, my childhood. And when I'd done my own work, when it comes to my own limiting beliefs around money, as we'll talk around in part one, I realized a lot of that came down to what I saw at home growing up, particularly my father, who had his own business, an accountancy business. And he really did have his challenges when it came to money. He had trouble getting money off clients, for example, running up massive bills on credit cards, and generally really straight, even though he was an accountant himself, really struggling with his own money. And it was a lot of the time it was left to my mother to handle the financial side of things. And he got himself in a lot of debt with his business. And that's a whole nother story. But this is where I realized a lot of my blocks and fear around money came from, particularly when creating a business. And, if you do go on to creating your own business yourself, you'll realize that it's an incredibly challenging process that is constantly bringing up our own parts and traumas. But it's beautiful if we know how to heal and move beyond those. So yes, when I started creating my own business in particular, I realized I had a lot of work to do, a lot of limiting beliefs around money, a lot of limiting beliefs around my own self-worth and ability to create a life of abundance for myself. Yeah, as I said, though I'd never struggled greatly financially, I always found there was enough, particularly, to work on my own healing as I progressed on that path. Really, my level of financial abundance I found was restricted. Like there was a blockage in terms of what I would be able to earn in my career as a designer, as I was back then. Probably you've realized this yourself, when it comes to a job, an employer will generally pay you just enough to keep you in the seat. They're not really, most jobs anyway, aren't really going to pay you much beyond that. And as a result, most of us find that we've got enough to survive and, live, particularly in the Western world, a relatively, comfortable life. But many of us find that we aren't able to really step beyond that and step into a life of overflow. So we've always got enough to, cover the bills, just about, perhaps go on the odd holiday here and there, but there's no real overflow that enables us to really step into that life of full abundance that we deserve. So, yeah, this journey over the last 4 years in particular, it's 2023 now, as I record this, I had to work for a lot. Initially, a lot of healing work was focused on my own fractured parts. But then as I brought myself back to a place of wholeness, I was able to focus this energy healing work then on my own traumas around money that were holding me back and restricting my access to abundance. And particularly in the last couple of years, I've been able to raise that level of abundance that I've been able to open to receiving. And from going from an energy that I found quite frustrating when it came to money and, as I said, unable to really create that overflow in my life, I've now experienced a beautiful overflow that now allows me to continually invest in myself. And this is for me, we all know that money doesn't necessarily equal happiness, and there are plenty of very unhappy millionaires and billionaires out there. But for me, what it does enable, what money means really is that it's an energy of, I would say, freedom. And I'll talk more about the energy of money in particular in a moment. But it does enable us to continually invest in ourselves, and particularly in our own healing and spiritual development, which I believe is the best investment we can ever make. If we can invest in ourselves, invest in our healing, then that really is the path to happiness, you say, or fulfillment. So on my own path, I speak to a lot of people on this spiritual path who are very restricted around money, opening up to awareness and source, but experiencing many blockages around money in particular, which stops them from investing in themselves, which stops them from investing in their own healing and development, which I think is really sad. And this is something I wanted to help people with this course in particular. Yeah, in terms of specifics, I remember back in 2019 investing, really sort of like struggling with the idea of investing $30 in a program where I was going to learn how to create my own business, my own online business. And it was a real kind of point of something that was holding me back. But I made that first step. And since then, learning how to create a business myself, doing these energetic healing practices and everything I'm going to talk about over the next, 3 trainings beyond this, I've gone to a point where last year I was able to invest about £17,000 in my own healing and development, various programs that I felt aligned for me, ceremonies, practices that really appealed to me, that involved a lot of investment. But that was what felt my soul, my heart was calling me to do. That number may not be, feel like a big number for you, but depending on where you're at in your own life. But that for me back in 2019 would have seemed impossible, absolutely ridiculous. But for working on myself, clearing my own blocks, healing myself, that has become a reality for me to continually invest more and more in my own healing and development. And as I do that, I open up more and more to abundance, financial abundance. And my plan in 2023 is to invest even more in myself, in the ceremonies, retreats, programs that really appeal to me. So that's just give you an idea of what's possible. And I've still continually worked for my own blocks, my own fears around money. And, as I do so, as I say, I open up more and more, and I find that more and more money flows into my life in a myriad of different ways. But yes, as I said, on my own path, helping people on their own awakening and healing journey, I constantly see people blocked around money. Whenever I ask questions in my group, this is one of the main areas that I see that people would like to improve in their lives, so that their level of financial abundance that they're seeing, which has led me on to create this program to help people on the spiritual journey to experience more financial abundance, because that's what we want, really. I think traditionally money has flowed to people who perhaps haven't got the best interests of the collective at heart, which is why the world looks the way it does at the moment. But what we want is, what I would like to see is people who are on the awakening journey, light workers, you could call them. What we want is for those people to be experiencing more financial abundance, for them to create more lives of fulfillment, and then to be able to serve others in the same way. So that's how we're going to raise the collective consciousness. For many people, one of the big limiting beliefs, I'll talk about this more in the next training, is that you shouldn't earn money for healing, for example, or helping people develop spiritually, which is one of the main reasons why so many healers and light workers live these very restricted lives of where where they don't see this financial overflow. But financial overflow is beautiful. It just enables you to expand your own healing, create a business, expand that business, reach and help more people. Its energy really is a beautiful energy that can help us create amazing lives and then, you know, transform the lives of other people as well. And as I said, this course is my attempt to change what I see with people on the spiritual journey, helping them to open up to spiritual abundance, empower them so that they can help others as well, and help raise the collective consciousness. You know, that is my soul mission, as I've defined it over the years, helping people, including myself, helping humanity heal and evolve towards self-realization so that we can raise the collective consciousness. So this is a big part of what I consider to be my personal soul mission in this lifetime. So moving on for who I am and my story, let's talk about the energy of abundance. I've touched on it a little bit there to start with, but the key always with abundance is our own internal vibration. You know, the external world we see around us is an exact match for our internal vibration. So if we're experiencing any blockage in the external world, whether that's in our work, our finances, or even relationships or healing, whatever it is, it's important to realize and take responsibility for our experience and know that the life we see around us and everybody in it is just a reflection of what's happening inside. So if we want to see an abundant life, we have to vibrate at the level of abundance. And this is where healing comes into it, as I'll talk around in future trainings. But essentially, we need to feel abundant before we see it. That's really key. And I'm going to give you many different practices along the way here that can help us to do that. Money is a reflection of what we're willing to receive and our level of self-worth. You know, self-worth, yeah, we all have issues around self-worth. I think this is just part of the human experience, really, particularly in this age we're living in. Self-worth is tied to many things that we see in the collective, many things that we hear from others, perhaps in the media. But the real key is to realize that abundance is all around us. Abundance, you could say, even financial abundance, is always trying to get to us because we are connected to source, but we have these blockages in our system that stop us from receiving it. And yes, our level of receiving is tied to our level of self-worth as well. So a lot of the work I do with people is helping them to open up to receiving, is helping them to connect to others, connect to the collective. Is when we're trying to do this work on our own, and I'll talk more about how we can open up to, how you can have direct experience this work and open up to community and receive from others in the next slide. But it's really important not to do this work on our own. By opening up to others and sitting with others and learning from others, we open up to receiving. So we're not constantly trying to do everything and work through all our issues on our own. That's going to be very restrictive. Our development is going to be very restrictive if we're trying to do this all on our own. Abundance is always trying to get to us. Abundance is everywhere, but we need to start to open ourselves up to receiving it. So that means, you know, not doing this journey on our own and opening up to the support of others. Money is a neutral energy that enhances who we are. You know, we'll talk more about limiting beliefs in the next video, but what I want to say about this, I'll touch on it briefly, is that a lot of people have negative views around money. That it's the root of all evil, for example. But money is neutral, like all energy in the universe. It's just around, we have our own stories, we have our own beliefs around money. And if we see it as negative, if we see it as bad, then it's not going to want to be with us. You know, it's all about cultivating a positive relationship with money. As I say, I'll talk more about this in future trainings, but money for me is a neutral energy. It doesn't necessarily go to, as we see in the wider world, doesn't necessarily go to people who you could say deserve it. It goes to people who are willing to, who respect it, who love it, and who like to see it grow and expand. Like all energy, money likes to grow and expand. So it goes to people who really value it, who love it. So if we've got negative views around money and we see it as being a bad or an evil thing, it's not going to want to come to us, not going to want to be with us. Money is an energy that just enhances who we are. So you often see this with lottery winners. They win a load of money and it just completely crashes their system because their system is not ready for that level of receiving, not ready to hold that level of energy. And often we see, entrepreneurs, business owners who perhaps don't have the best interest of the collective or the world at heart, and it just enhances that. It just causes more problems in the world. If money comes to us and you've got good intentions and we've done a lot of healing work on ourselves, then it can become a beautiful energy that just enhances who we are and helps serve more people. But yeah, it's important to realize that it's neutral, it's not bad, it's just an energy that enhances who we are and enhances our internal parts. So yeah, it's really important to combine it with the inner healing work as well. Like I said before, like air, money is energy and there's no limit to what we can receive. Essentially, we are connected to everything. We are connected to source. And so as a result, there's no limit to what we receive. And there's only our own internal limitations and our limiting beliefs that stop us from receiving as much money as we can imagine. And that's really important, is that when it comes to money, it will only come to us a level that we believe we deserve and that we're ready to receive. So, but essentially, once you realize that the reason why we're not experiencing a beautiful overflow when it comes to money is just down to our own internal blockages and our limiting self-beliefs. Once we start clearing those, once we know how to clear those, there's no limit to the abundance we can receive financially. It will just start coming to us more and more and more in different ways once we start clearing those limiting beliefs. Following the internal yes, this is the voice of our higher self. This is something I'll talk about in later trainings, but this is really key. Feeling into our decisions instead of thinking about them, aligning with our higher self. And in my experience, if we do that, then the money, start to flow into our life as a result. Our higher self knows the way, but it's about bring awareness from the head back into the body, feeling for our decisions. And that's how we can create a beautiful, abundant life. Facing our fear in order to align with this energy, learning to trust the universe again. So important. This is a big part of the work I've been doing over recent years, which is to feel into the lack and scarcity and fear that comes around giving money away. So, for example, we all know that fear of when a big bill lands on the mat. We open it, we look at it, and there's for me, it's just feeling to that energy now. It's like a collapse in the stomach, you could say. Now, from having a lot of restrictions when it comes to money, as I said, from my own childhood, seeing my father struggle with money in particular, having that kind of energetic template in my system, I've noticed that there was this restriction and tightness when it came to money, in letting it go. It's really important to realize that any restriction we have in letting money go, any fear we have in letting money go, is the same blockage that stops us from receiving it. So again, I'll talk about this in future trainings, but it really is about being ready to face that fear. And what it really is an uncomfortable or painful sensation that comes up when it comes to money. That scarcity, that fear, that lack, whatever you want to call it. That's just an internal feeling, really. It's nothing to be scared of. The mind will enhance it. Mind comes in and then gives us frightening scenarios. But at the core of our experience is the present moment felt experience. It's these uncomfortable, painful sensations that come up around money. So it's really important to be able to face and feel into these fears. And I'll talk more around how we can do that on the next slide. Learning to trust the universe again. Learning to trust that the universe has our back instead of living our lives from fear and scarcity. If we make decisions and live from fear and scarcity, then we'll just create lives that reflect that. Healing is key in this process. I said before, money likes to be able to flow. Any blocking spending is reflecting our ability to receive. So we've got to look at letting money flow out, being comfortable with letting money leave us if we want money to come to us. Think of money as like a relationship. If you're in a relationship with someone and you never let them go out and you're keeping them close to you because you don't trust them, they're going to come back to you. That person's not going to want to be around you. It's not going to be a very happy relationship. Whereas if you're in a relationship where you let the person go where they want, when they want, and you just trust them, and you know they'll always come back to you, that's the kind of relationship you want to cultivate with money. Letting it flow freely, not hoarding it, not restricting its flow, allowing energy to flow out freely, to invest in ourselves, to invest in those things that really light us up inside, to give it to those who need it. That will allow money to flow to us as well, removing the restrictions and the fear and the blockages in our system when it comes to financial abundance. Very simple. What you give out, you get back. Again, following on from that, allowing money to flow freely in and out of our system, trusting it to come back to us. And as I said earlier, you manifest what you vibrate. Manifestation is something I'll talk about in part 2. But yes, the important thing to realize is that the way we feel is always our point of attraction. So the key, as I'll keep referring back to through these trainings, is that we need to raise our internal vibration to match the energy of abundance. So that means clearing out all these old limiting beliefs, clearing out all the traumas and blockages we have around money. And as we do that, we raise our vibration, we start to match the vibration of abundance, or source energy, which is all around us. So that's the energy of abundance. Let me talk finally in this first video around the structure of this program, a few pointers along the way. So don't rush this training. This training, this program I've made it so that it takes about a month to go through. So it's really important not to rush through all the videos, and to get full value out of it, do take time. Do the exercises, the journaling, the visualizations, and do take advantage of the community as well. I'll talk a little bit more about how you can do that in a moment. But yes, this training is not something we do in a month and then all of a sudden all our issues around financial abundance are solved. This is something you'll always have access to. This is something that you can keep coming back to. Blockages and challenges are going to keep coming up on our journey throughout life. Life keeps happening. I do this work all the time. I've been doing this work in particular, focusing on financial abundance over the last 3 years. Something I'm constantly doing. There are always new parts coming to the surface, new layers to be processed and released. So keep coming back as you meet, even once you finish this program after a month, keep coming back. Whenever you feel that scarcity, fear, and lack coming up in your system, you can go back through this training and clear it again. But yes, the next 3 videos in particular, you'll also have access to my abundance activation meditation, guided meditation. Again, use that throughout the program. Whenever you feel, restriction, scarcity, fear, lack coming up, because we're going to be touching on some past traumas, some difficult stuff. So whenever that happens, you can use that active abundance activation recorded meditation, which will be the next video. Take some time out to feel into that energy and to clear out anything that's not in alignment with abundance. But the first part is going to be around clearing limiting beliefs. So essentially looking at the past, a lot of journaling prompts in there. Take your time, take a week to go through that, writing down, we're going to be bringing up the past, feeling through it. So do take your time through that first part. That's really important. And as I say, use the abundance activation meditation as well when you feel like those restrictions and the fear coming up in your system. Part 2, then we're going to be working on the future. Once we've started to clear away the past, we'll look at what is this ideal, abundant future that we'd like to create, feeling into our ideal future self, and we're visualizing that and feeling into it so we can start to attract that reality into our lives. And part 3, then we were talking about staying in alignment. As I said, life is always going to keep challenging us. There's always going to be fearful, scared parts coming up from childhood that come up along the way. So really important that we focused on how we can stay in alignment. Then once we clear these initial layers from the limiting beliefs from the past, once we have an idea of the future we want to create, how do we stay aligned with it? And I was talking more about that, particularly around our ongoing healing, which is so important. And yes, that leads me on to the final part. By signing up to this program, you probably will already, you have access to a free energetic realignment call with me. That involves 45 minutes where I can help you on your own journey. We'll drop in and I'll take you through a guided one-on-one live meditation as well, where we can talk around any blockages, challenges that are coming up for you, and clearing any energy that's ready to be processed in a moment. You'll also have access to 4 meditations throughout the month with my wider community of energetic healers and practitioners. We all drop in on a Saturday evening, as it stands at 8:30 p.m. UK time. Do reach out to me and let me know when you're ready for those. You know, I advise to do one of those after every module that we go through, so you're clearing out the energy as it's coming up. Keep processing the energy. This is a great way to do it. As I said, opening up to receiving, opening up to support, connecting with the community. So this is not a program that you should be going through on your own. Yes, some of it is done on our own, feeding through what's coming up. But, you know, I like to think the unique thing about this program is you've also got access to the community, so you can actually process and heal these parts as they're coming up as you go through the program. So reach out to me. I can give you the Zoom link for those 4 group healing meditations that you have access to as you go through this month-long program. And I think I'll leave it there for this introduction video. Thanks for joining so far. It's going to be a powerful month together as we go through these trainings, and hopefully a beautiful one as well. I'm sure there'll be some challenges along the way, but yes, thank you for joining me on the path, on the journey, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.